In the second step, I'll be using WP Cloud Run a project for local WordPress development with Docker and Docker Compose. Basically, I'll do introduction on what is a WP Cloud Run project, what it consists of. So this is a project on GitHub, of course, open source, and what it consists of. Of course, it's a README file which describes it all, and I'll go through it in a second. But it has a Docker file, the Docker Compose, and the tool that basically builds and pushes your image. So let's get started as step 2.2. So I think it will be easier if I just switch to VS Code for this. And close it all off. And what I'll do is I'll open our README just in the preview, the one I was looking at a second ago. So yeah, the most important thing here is the container-build-push.go. So it's a tool that allows you to build and push a WP Cloud Run or WordPress app container to the Google Cloud Registry, the one we just created. So prerequisite software that needs to be installed is Docker and Docker Compose, Golang, G-Cloud, or as part of Google SDK. And you also need the requirements are to log into Google Cloud account. You can just follow these steps. Configure Docker to automatically authenticate with Google Artifact Registry in the Europe West 4 region. Or just change it to the region you'll be using. And install Golang Docker Credentials helper for managing Docker credentials. On Debian-based Linux distros, you would just run this command. On your this might be different, so or you might not even need to run this at all. And I did all of these steps, so I'm not going to show it on the video. But how to run and use container-build-push.go. So after filling out a few variable values, you simply run go run and container-build-push.go. And you need to fill out variables. And please note all of the variable files will be defined as part of the end file, which is also added to the git ignore so you don't push it and accidentally share what could potentially be secret data. But this is what it looks like. And all of the variable values that you care about, the most important one is the WP version. So this will literally be, it's a that will be pulled from the Docker Hub for the WordPress images. And I also have a link. So if you wanted to basically update to the new WordPress version, you will simply change it to this, and that's it. The next variable is the WP Cloud Run img, which is a variable that represents the container image updates that we made. For example, we make some big changes in Docker. It doesn't relate to WordPress at all. I would increment this by 1 or whatever you want to do with it. And the next one is the GCP project, which specifies the Google Cloud Project ID, which will be used. So I already filled this out. The next one is the GAR region, which specifies the artifact registry region to which image will be uploaded to. So I'll just fill it out with the registry we created, and GAR repo, which is basically the repo that we just created there, and we called it WP Cloud Run. And these are the things you need to fill out to be able to use this tool. Options are very simple by default without specifying any parameters, and I'll show this in a second. Both container build and push operations will run. And for example, useful stuff is like push equals false, where you just want to build it as part of, for example, local setup, which I will do in a second. So let's switch to the browser. So now that I explained that, let's do the 2.3, how to use it and build our container locally, and then how we would use this for the local development with Docker Compose. So let's get to that. And again, for that, I will switch to VS Code. So I will just open a terminal, and I will go run on container-build.go. And in this case, I'll add the flag to not push it, just build it locally. So I'm going to hit run. Hit enter. And what it's going to do is going to pull that container image from WordPress. And how this will work is basically it's all defined as part of the Docker file. So if the WP version is not specified, it's going to use the latest, and but of course it is specified, so it's going to use this version. We can see this here. That's the version where it's using, and that's defined as part of the end file. And then it's just going to copy stuff over. Please note, I have a lot of plugins that I'm using here. Like I need all of these. I built this for my private setup. Of course, if you don't need these plugins, you can just remove them. I'm also copying themes, and also I'm ignoring some of these files. So the end file. So if you add secret data here, you'll want to push it to your Git repo. But or if you have a backup directory, and now, for example, I'm not pushing all in one WP migration unlimited session, which I paid for. And so once our image is built, I can just run Docker images, and I can see the image that I want with all of the stuff that's coming from here filled out, so it can be uploaded to the artifacts registry. So now that we have this, how do we run this locally? So since we have the Docker Compose file here, and I'm just going to run Docker Compose up. So what it will do now is first is going to pull the MySQL image again from a Docker Hub, and will spin off MySQL service locally, and all of the variables again are filled out as part of the end file. And same thing is with the WordPress part. With the WordPress part, and then we have the image that we want to use. And what's important to mention here is that this instance, once deployed, will be running on port 8080. So let's give it a few seconds until it finishes deploying everything, and then we can see what it looks like. How would you want to do this? Well, basically, everything that will be deployed locally, and every time you redeploy it, can basically make how it works on the Cloud Run. Because if the data is not attached to anything, that it will not persist. So it's a good way to test things out and how they work, as they can, this is how it will look like on Cloud Run. So now that I saw Apache was already running, I can go to localhost 8080. And what you're seeing is the dialog you'll see for the first time when you go to WordPress, which is to configure it. So I'll say test admin. I'll give it a very bad test password. And again, I would urge you to use the end file and whatever is defined there. But it says this is a test instance. I'll use test at test.com. I'll discourage search engines to use it. And I'll just click install. And that's it. So now if I go to login, oh, sorry, on the way around. So admin, I can click remember me. What we're seeing is the WordPress instance, and the same way like this will look like on the Cloud Run. And we'll see all the plugins that are installed, and I can check if everything is working as it should. And while I'm on this topic, another useful thing that you might want to, for example, check is if you want to go to the container. So for example, let's see like our robots file looks like this, and we're copying it as part of the Docker file here. So let's see if this really looks like as it should. So this will list the Docker containers. I will now attach myself to the container. So Docker exec, I'd see, and then the instance, the other one is the MySQL one. And now we're inside of a container, and I can check what the robots look like. So this looks good. This is how it should look like. So this is this is the whole local development and how it looks like. And once I'm done, I'll just because Otherwise, these containers will keep running locally. I'm just going to do docker compose down. And this will shut down the whole setup. And yeah, that's it. You're done. So let's see if there's anything left as part of the step 2. And no, this is it. So we can move to the next step, which is step 3.